Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves some tracks off of an album by Herman Martinez titled Continuity Errors. And if we switch over to here, it's nice to be returning to some more of Herman's work. I have reviewed some tracks from Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs, as well as deleted scenes from the aforementioned Continuity Errors album, and I get to hear more today, which will be super cool. So we're going to listen through another 6 tracks off of the Continuity Errors album from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, starting with Salamander. Yeah, no, absolutely. Don't get me wrong, I like the production on Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs. I dig it. This is just a little bit cleaner. A little bit more sort of polished with the way the guitars, bass side sound with each other. I like the imagery of like connecting the dots and stuff like that we're talking about, and the dynamic range with those snare hits. And shout out to the drum work there, you know, those little cute little cymbal hits and stuff like that. It's great attention to detail using those ghost notes there, knowing that we don't need to have it loud or soft all the time, we can have range, add a sense of humanity to it. Sort of an ethereal, like otherworldly alien vibe to that oscillating sort of high synth on the left. Just kind of made me sound like we're going through a dream sequence, and it's interesting use of time signatures and different sort of grooves and rhythmic sequences. Having that repeated. Were they harmonizing in fourths? I like how adamant they are about that. We just have these reversed takes and twisted, sort of distorted, glitchy elements fading us out. I'm not sure what to make of that track. I'm not sure what Salamander was about. You know, I've heard the parts about connecting the dots and, you know, saying they're repeating that line of there is nothing wrong with me. And are we to assume that maybe, like, is this following on from Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs? What is this song meant to be? I think I need multiple listens to it to really get the lyrics clearly. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot to sort of take in and sort of be aware of, I think, as we go along. Like, I love the intricacy of the guitar parts. I say intricacy a lot. How full and well considered they are. These sort of lead melodic bits that are, I think he's using a guitar pick to play those out. And they stack on the sides alongside the double panned vocal parts. The drums, they just sort of gently groove along to it, man. It's a fantastic experience. Pseudologia Fantastica, track number 2. Oh, that's a really fantastic shift there into that major. Really gentle and kind and warm, tonally. And the piano is a lovely little bit of addition on top. I mean, I have absolutely no idea where we're going after this, of course. But it is testament to the skill of Herman and everyone else involved that we can manage to keep this so engaging without vocals. It's like we're floating through space, through the nether regions. Lying sort of calmly in the ether. You've got some orchestral elements in the back. Is there some synth pads or something like that to go on there with a little bit of extra sort of flurry going with those guitars? I like how occasionally we have the studded guitar parts with the echo there. We have little hints of tension with some of these minor chords that are kind of very blunt parallels to what we've had previously instantiated within the chord progression. It's nice to have the bass in unison with everything else. Filling in that low end as everything stacked on top and filtered resonates nicely. Very simple sort of bassline chord progression outside of those occasional chromatics, but a similar triplet groove throughout. It's very dreamlike. It's like a And this power layering, bum 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 bum. Now, that idea is fine by itself. When you hit the piano and then da 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 da, and then the guitar going da 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 da, you know, like we don't any drums or vocals, but it's still been just as engaging. I like the journey we've gone on with this track. Pseudologia Fantastica. All that unsettling tension there at the end with those oscillators and kind of otherworldly whooshy sounds. Don't know what to make of that, man, but I think maybe these are chapters of like a dream sequence or something like that. Maybe this is similar to the themes we had, that psychedelic vibe going on with the secret doors, hidden stairs. I could be wrong, we've got mid-card in that track number 3. Returning to those steel strings. Nice use of slides there for a sense of legato smoothness.
Finding the words, tongues to disturb. Strip down the silence, reveal all the nerves. It's how you were made, so unafraid. Testing this curious need to create. Time slows down for you to be around. You can't change the sound of everything you want to believe in.
Interesting use of that kind of jazzy, low-key, lo-fi kind of vibe going in with the sample drum kit there. I wasn't expecting that. We lengthened the notes that we're singing to increase the importance of them and the focus on them, and suddenly we do a complete vibe shift like that, you know. Stripping down the nerves and stuff like that. Are we sort of breaking ourselves apart to believe in something completely different? We're using the electric drum kit for this. It's kind kind of a ballsy move to completely get rid of the bass, but it's kind of how you're on clouds, right? Or it's just a completely different sort of mood that I get to a lot of tracks I listen to.
Closing your eyes as you lift from the earth. Time slows down for you to be around, with your hands held out to catch the things you want to believe in.
Really pretty sort of side guitars. I find myself getting distracted from the vocals because you have these cute little guitar harmonies on the right. Guitar melodies sort of synchronizing with each other. But that theme is lovely and sort of very peaceful to listen to. And then it completely shifts. Damn, man. Wasn't expecting the distortion to come in. Fantastic work with the tremolo bar there, you know, those whammies, those squeals. Get some of those grunge influences I mentioned in Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs. That alt rock groove from the mid-90s. It's dope, man. It's dope. I like the fact that we can do the heavier stuff with Herman Martinez, and it doesn't seem as if it's phoned in. There's an equal amount of effort put into this to try and get this as tight. There's fury and frustration here. There's a completely different sort of attitude to what we had previously. But I think that it was almost a necessary thing with how gentle and peaceful the first half was. The two sides of the coin, you know what I mean? Mid-card. Is this the person struggling to, because of the fact that they can't shape or shift themselves just for what they believe in? Are they fighting against that? Is that why there's that tension here? Not sure why I got rid of the album art. We'll keep it up. But it's a great album so far. Again, I just think it's a little more polished than Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs, but I still think that Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs was a great album. You know, Ghosts of Summer. Great clarity, not only to the drums, but also how that played. Like, that's really tight groove they got going there. Ooh, those fills are slick, man. I like how quickly those drums are going in comparison to what's going on with those held notes on the guitar and other string bits. I think that's a nice use of contrast there. Wanted to hold your hand and feel the warmth of futures past. Yeah, I'm curious about it now. I do want to know more. It's nice to have those synth strings as well. Can you hear that? That subtle little sub layer there on the high end, balancing out those guitars and the freneticism of the drums and the bass. You know, it's cool to have those other sort of instruments that aren't as common coming when they're really needed. Add a little bit of sort of drama and tension to it, and they're in the right range as well. The bass is filling at that low end really well. It's kind of interesting that the drum fill, despite that fill being repeated various times, isn't becoming stale. Ooh, that cymbal works divine, dude. I like how we cascade with that part in the first half of the chorus, and then we come down for the gentle sort of sentimental bit with the holding of the hands. So we're trying to find support and comfort in that person. So we're trying to look for this person for support and a way to go back to how things used to be. We're talking about healing now. Oh, great use of head voice there. Nice, man. So did he say forever warm? So did he find that warmth in the ghosts of summer? Did he find that hand to hold? Did things become resolved? Was it a happy ending? I'm not quite sure what to make of that. It finishes on a minor chord, which makes me think that maybe we found it, but it was kind of a bittersweet sort of situation where we were looking for that support and we got it, but it didn't necessarily fix our problems, you know. We got Days Without, though. Track number 5 for today.
Teary eyes apologizing. All they've seen can now see me. Here for you.
All they've seen can now see me. This stuff's deep, man. This stuff's deep. This is why I constantly feel as though I'm second guessing myself with this album, because I think I get it, and then there's like another layer to it or something like that, you know?
On my key, open now your wildest dream. Leave it all behind for now.
I'm loving those really spacey kind of starry synths on the right, though. I don't know if that's guitar or not, but either way, dude, it's sick. I think they might be guitar effects, man. They might be guitar effects. I'm blown away by what people can do with guitar tones nowadays. You can completely shift and shape the tone of it to something completely sort of unique. To the point it doesn't even necessarily sound like a guitar anymore, you know?
Watching all the world unwind, turn that thread into new life. Leave it all behind for now. I'll hold you till you come around. Dancing in the fire now, reacting to the slightest sound. Moving in slow motion now, the days without.
Moving in slow motion now, dancing in the fire, days without. Days without? Days without. Days without. I mean, to be fair, like usually when people talk about like dancing in the fire, I know it's probably a metaphor or figurative, but
Can I feel the trees all around me? Things are disappearing. You are at the door, here to bring me peace.
is this following on from Ghost of Summer?
Return to me all that I've been missing. Leave it all behind for now.
When he says leave it all behind for now, you can hear those do 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 down, do 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 down, you know, those sort of higher parts on the sides. It's like, wow. It's like we're ascending or something like that, but then he's looking at the person who's holding the door for him. Is this what he's being told at this part? I feel like we're slowly fading out. Are we slowly fading out? It's very low key at this point. I kind of miss some of the sort of heavier stuff we had in previous tracks, I think. Like mid-card, was it? You know, we have distortion here. There's a low mid-resonance to distortion, which is maybe making everything else a little bit quiet relative in the mastering chain. But it's also, if we want like filthy kind of grungy distortion and go for gold, man, it's fine. There was a lot going on in that track. I mean, like, but then there wasn't, because everything was spaced in a way we could easily ascertain and tell what was going on. I think this is one of those tracks where you just get to listen to it repeatedly in order to really understand what's going on. And I think this is something I'm learning as a music reviewer, that, you know, even though I feel that like, no, I stand by it. I was about to admit to something that I wanted to change my perspective on after a while of doing it, but I'm still too stubborn to do it. So, Hypnic Jerks. Track number 6 today, the final one. Great chord, no groove. Are we going back into triplets for the swing feel? Not swing feel, just 4/4 triplets.
Was it all
No, we're not.
a dream?
We're not. Kind of blown away by that. Well done, Herman. I mean that in the sense because I didn't expect it.
Was it you? The images and truths.
tritones.
Speaks to me through your eyes. Listen,
That's a very sudden, jarring shift there. I'm not sure if I'm a massive fan of that. But I suppose it's trying to indicate the chaos or the...
how to reply.
It's a fairly intense bass tone, isn't it?
Words to say, but you've already heard. To show the things you have seen, to be what I know we can be. Everything.
Is this Hypnic Jerks like a dream sequence or something like that? Like, is this just still dream sequences? I feel like this isn't. Like, there's a lot of introspection and stuff going on with like talking about the dancing and the fire and the ghosts of hands and everything like that. And the pseudo-physiology of we'll talk about it in the conclusion.
Through your eyes, listening. Don't know how to reply.
I like the separation between this sort of kind of unusual sounding string plucked plonked motif here with that vocal part. I like the contrast between those two. It's as if we're going through a sequence of coming in and out of a trance. Kind of a clock ticking or something like that, you know? I feel very confused by this album. Because this is the conclusion of my review of this album, Continuity Errors by Herman Martinez. I don't think it's a bad thing that I'm confused. I think that maybe you can get more if you solely listen to it. Like, I don't think this is a track that you can really review and listen to at the same time, if that makes sense. You either analyze and critique it, or you take it in for its whole and you try not to get into one element at a time. I definitely think there's stuff that I missed by not hearing it in full. And, you know, part of my job is that I have to kind of talk about stuff as I hear it. But if I get distracted by something, there's so much going on in some of these tracks, despite the relative openness of the motifs and a lot of space in the arrangement. Or maybe I'm overthinking it, I don't know. Like, I want to try and piece together a story. Like, when I try to figure out what an album is about, I try and figure out and piece together the parts of the story, what I heard, and what I can kind of understand and what is connected. Salamander, you know, Midcard and Ghosts of Summer and Days Without and Hypnic Jerks. Man, I'm going to be honest, I don't really have a clue. I don't really know. I mean, like, I got little bits, like, talking about, like, the dancing in the fire and time moving slowly and everything like that, and not having anything sort of to prove or anything like that, and Salamander, there's nothing wrong with me, etc. And then, like, the door being opened and stuff like that, and Days Without, if I'm correct, you know, like, and the warmth of summer. I got bits and pieces of it. So I'm not sure whether this is like the whole concept album, or if this is just individual sort of ideas that are played through. I suppose there's themes of rekindling and connection and self-acceptance and, you know, challenging your own belief systems, but also realizing that you can't become a completely different person for those beliefs. It's just not healthy or something like that. I'm not sure. Pseudologia Fantastica, I think, was an instrumental, so you more or less had one of the most gorgeous tracks I've heard in quite a while overall, you know, of 2022. It's a phenomenal piece. These tracks were shorter on average than what we had in Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs. I don't particularly mind that. I think that, you know, the singing from Herman was great. I think that he's a great singer. You know, most of the words came through really, really well. And the harmonies sounded just as good as the melodies, you know, the centerfold vocals, the main ones. I think that we did know how to sing in a way that made sense with the vocals, the lyrics that I was hearing, and I think that's really important. I think also we had a good time with just vocal technique and legato and little bits of vibrato occasionally. We did rise a little bit in like Days Without, like in other songs where like we went for our high notes and we really belted them out, and that was great. I'm liking that we're checking our boundaries and trying to push past them. I also like that we were comfortable within our chest voice and with those little sort of quiet lower bits. I think that was great as well. He has a signature sort of vocal tone which I'm more familiar with now, so that's also positive. And I think it's testament to Herman that he wrote lyrics that sort of confuzzle me a little bit, primarily because I think that there should be a bit of mystery to lyrics. I think that he made the obvious parts really important through repetition, like that there's nothing wrong with me, etc. That's good. Let the crowd know what the most important parts of a song are. But I think I need more time, and there is replay value within this purely because I'm fascinated by it. In the past, I've said that a track needs to give you everything that you need within the first listen. And that's pissed a lot of people off, and I think I will basically adjust the way I look at that and say, I think that the track has to give you enough reason to listen to it more than once to get everything. You know, you shouldn't be obligated to listen to a track more than once. It should give you enough of a reason to listen to it more than once. It should invite you in to get to know it better. And I think that's what we get throughout this album. We get tracks which are incredibly intricate instrumentally, like the different motifs. These were all progressive. Like they went on all their different journeys. Some had completely different sort of grooves and time signatures and little tempo bits, and going between like triplets and 8th note or 16th note feels. There was some really kind of wild, wacky time signature shifts. We added or took away beats. Some were more consistent and easy to follow, but even then, you had some really wild chord progressions and parallel majors to minors and spicy chromatics and semitonal shifts there that are really kind of made. It was a roller coaster, and you know, people who aren't used to this kind of music might be a little bit alienated by it, not because it's bad, but because there were some really severe chord progressions occasionally, not in a bad way, but just they were very intense ones. Very dramatic shifts, I think, like in Days Without, where that's okay though. Sometimes you want to sort of like take the listener out of the sort of the lull that they're in after listening to a track and sort of surprise them and go, oh wait, what's that? I don't understand. And that's kind of good because they're still involved, they're still interested, they're still wanting to know you. It's just, you know, you're kind of taking the bull by the horns and showing them an alternative to the typical 1-5-6-4 progressions. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's not a mid, but I'm not saying there's not like a whole grey area between like this and 1-5-6-4, and I'm not saying this is the most progressive stuff I've ever heard, but legitimately, it's reasonably it definitely, it's, even if it has like, you know, verses and choruses and stuff like that, it's more about the journey than anything else. And even in a short form factor, I think we managed to put a lot of interesting sort of riffs and drum beats and fills in there, and the bass line as well was kind of dope, You know, the bass line filled in that low end really, really well, but explored the fretboard a little bit. The pianos were incredibly articulate and worked really well, especially in, I think, Pseudologia Fantastica, where they worked alongside those guitar parts in unison, their similar rhythm, and it just made it nice and bright and punchy and sort of like kind and warm. and really enjoyable to listen to. I think it's testament to the songwriting skills of the musicians involved that, again, like I can listen to a track and not even need the vocals to come in for like a minute because I'm having such a good time listening to everything else. You know, at like, again, at 3 minutes to like 5 minutes or something like that, these tracks are, they're not super short, but they're also not super long. I think that they're the right length. I think that if you go longer than this, you really need to get a person invested. I know that Deleted Scenes was like 7 minutes or something like that, and that's okay for the final track of an album, because if you have the final track, it's like, you can do more, you can hear the rest of it, you've gotten this far, you can have the big finish, right? That's fine. That's okay, but like, sometimes I have people put like an 8-minute track first, and it's like, whoa, they haven't heard you before. That's quite a leap, you know? That's quite a leap, especially if they come across your album first. That's cool, you know? So I think the structuring was great, the transitions were seamless, the musicianship was fantastic, I enjoyed, there wasn't a note out of place basically, it was intricate stuff. And the instrumentalists had a great chemistry between them, knew how to harmonize appropriately with the vocalist. And all in all, you know, like, there was lots of appreciate little lead lines, as well as little bits of foley and kind of scritchy, kind of noisy kind of stuff going on the sides and reverse takes, and all sorts of fun bits. And it didn't matter whether we had lots of, like, a high amount of notes at one point or a low amount of notes at another. We always seemed to find balance eventually in equilibrium, and it was enjoyable to listen to. You know, finally, the recording, mixing, and mastering was great. Got no real complaints about it. It was professionally done. Clearly, we have people, and this was a more polished sort of record, I think, than Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs from a production's perspective. Again, Secret Doors, Hidden Stairs was great. I liked the way it was recorded, but this just had a bit more clarity to some of the takes, you know, the vocals and like the guitar and bass and drums and stuff like that. There was less of a resonance for the bass than there was previously. You even had some sort of like interesting stuff going on with like, again, the reverse takes and everything, and like the sample was sort of heavily filtered drum kit in various parts, sounded like it was going through a radio filter. It was really cool, man. There was lots of cool ideas explored here. Everything was nicely leveled and sort of glued together, a bit of compression applied there across various parts, and the side chaining of the drums as well was cool. Nice and wide in the stereo field, you know, nice wide double tracking of the vocals and guitar parts and everything like that as well. Whenever things were panned, they were panned appropriately. And limited compression was great. It was nice and loud without pumping, and there was dynamic range and different changes in perceived loudness. And effectively, this is my review. This is my review of Herman Martinez's Continuity Errors. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out the various social medias and the Bandcamp page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.